How big is your God? How big is your God? Are your problems bigger than your God? That's the question that David answers in Psalms chapter 44. He's reflecting on Moses and Joshua and how God used them to the promised land, and how Joshua would cross over the Jordan River. The walls of Jericho would come crashing down, and Israel would conquer the land. Oh, David makes it clear how big his God is. It was not their strength from their arms or their warriors. It wasn't the size of Israel's army that gave them victory. It wasn't from their swords. It was from the arm and strength of Almighty God. It's a theme we find throughout the entire Bible. How big is your God? Thanks for joining me on my morning prayer walk as I hike up into the Sierra to one of my favorite spots, Paradise Lake, 15 miles in the wilderness. I'm excited to be on the trail early this morning as the sun comes up. But I'm more excited about reflecting about who God is and how big God is. You find it in the book of Judges, chapter 6 and following. It's the story of Gideon. God raised him up to deal with the Midianites. The Bible tells us that Gideon would amass an army of warriors, 32,000. God said, I'm bigger than your army. Let's pare that down from 32,000 to 22,000 to 12,000 to 1,200. And eventually God would have Gideon go into battle with a small army of 300. So many times we cry out to God, if I only had more time, if I only worked for a bigger company, if I only had more money, if I had just a little bit more of this or that, then I would have victory. God says, nonsense. You have everything you have if you have God on your side. If you're walking where He is leading, Gideon would have great victory, not with an army of 32,000, but with only 300. And yes, the power of God leading them to great victory. That's what Psalms chapter 44, verse 3 is all about. You come forward to the New Testament. Jesus is about to feed 5,000. He sends the apostles out to gather resources. They come back with only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Oh, if only we had more money. If only we had more resources. If only we had more people that would give more to feeding this multitude. God says you have everything you need. You begin to praise God and give God thanks for what you have, and God will supply. Jesus held up the meager amount that the disciples returned with. He blessed it. And there's the key, the blessing of God. And giving thanks for what you do have. And then God began to multiply it. You know the rest of the story. Not only did Gideon have great victory, not only did the multitude of 5,000 plus get fed, there was plenty left over. Sometimes we make our problems bigger than our God. The Bible is very, very clear. God created the high Sierra, the waterfalls, the mountains. God created every peak that's here, the beautiful forest and meadow that I'm walking through. He hung the moon in the sky. He hung the stars and the sun that rises every single day. How big is your God? My God is so powerful, I can quote Philippians chapter 4, verse 13 with the Apostle Paul. I can say with boldness and confidence, with great faith, just like Paul, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Claim it today. Walk on his path. Your God is greater than any problem, any struggle, any challenge. All we need to do is put our hope and our trust in him. This is Songs for the Summer as we read through daily the book of Psalms. Songs for the Summer.